All right, guys and girls, I hope you're all doing well. We're back here with Chapter a Day Bible Study, and today we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 6. So let's hop right into the reading. The corruption of mankind. Now it came about, when men began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves, whomever they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, because he also is flesh. Nevertheless, his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. The Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. The Lord said, I will blot out man whom I have created from the face of the land, from man to animals to creeping things and to birds of the sky, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. These are the records of the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his time. Noah walked with God. Noah became the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in the sight of God, and the earth was filled with violence. God looked on the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way upon the earth. Then God said to Noah, The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. And behold, I am about to destroy them with the earth. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. You shall make the ark with rooms, and shall cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you shall make it. The length of the ark 300 cubits, its breadth 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. You shall make a window for the ark, and finish it to a cubit from the top, and set the door of the ark in the side of it. You shall make it with lower, second, and third decks. Behold, I, even I, am bringing the flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life, from under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall perish, but I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every kind into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds after their kind, and of the animals after their kind, of every creeping thing of the ground after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive. As for you, take for yourself some of all food which is edible, and gather it to yourself, and it shall be for food for you and for them. Thus Noah did according to all that God had commanded him. So he died. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the reading of Genesis 6, even though it is quite a sad chapter. But nevertheless, let's get into the points of emphasis. So the first point, men find women beautiful and marry whomever they choose. Now I put this point in here because I wanted to point out that women weren't treated with the greatest respect or the highest regard back in those days. They were thrown around like cattle. It wasn't so much as it is today, where you might date a girl for 2 years and get engaged and then have a marriage. It was more along the lines of, you're beautiful, marry me, and the women might not have even had much say in it. So it's sad. I mean, there would probably still be a marriage festivity. In fact, in the Bible, we read many times of marriage festivities, and I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in the more secular, with the non-Christians and the really evil men that we're kind of talking about in this chapter, it was kind of more of a thing of just like, marry me now, and the women might not even had any say in that. So I just wanted to point that out. Second point here, the Lord regrets creating man because of our evil ways. This is really sad. This is, if you can imagine trying out for your favorite sports team, whether your favorite sports, soccer, baseball, basketball, whatever, and not making the team times 300. I mean, we're not talking about the coaches didn't want you. We're talking about the Lord God did not want us. All of us. So that's very sad. I mean, he didn't even want his creation anymore. That's really sad. So again, I just wanted to point that out. Number three. Sorry, I have a typo here. I just realized it's supposed to say God finds favor in Noah, not just finds favor in Noah, but God finds favor in Noah. And this point's pretty self-explanatory, but it says in the Bible, in the text, Noah was blameless, and that doesn't mean that Noah never sinned. That meant that all of Noah's sins were forgiven by God. And so when I just wanted to make that clear, because when I was younger, I thought, wait, so you're saying that Noah was perfect? I thought Jesus was the only, perfect person. But in my years of wisdom, I now realize how wrong I was. But, so I just wanted to point that out, make sure there was no misunderstanding there. Next point, God tells Noah of his plans to flood the earth. Because God found favor in Noah, he told him of his plans to flood the earth, and I'm just going to go in the next point really quickly, and tells Noah to build the ark and what specifications that the ark should have. So all of these 3 points kind of come together in one. He finds favor in Noah, tells Noah of his plans, and because of his plans, God wants to save Noah because he realizes that he's a good man. And not just Noah, but his whole family too. He wants to save Noah and his family. So he instructs him to build the ark a certain way. I mean, when you're going to have 40 days and 40 nights of rainfall, you're going to need a pretty sturdy boat. And did I forget to mention that there's going to be one kind of every animal, a male and a female of every animal on that boat. So it's got to be not only sturdy, but it's got to be huge, and you got to put a lot of food on it. So this wasn't something that happened overnight. This was careful planning, careful building. So that's pretty much the points of emphasis. Let's move on to the life application. All right. So what I wrote was, take heed, if God hated his creation then, what must he think now? So clearly back in those days, there was not 6 billion people on the earth. And what do you have when you have more people? Well, you have a lot more sinning. A lot more sinning. So, if God hated his creation then, what do you think if he thinks of it now? And that's just a sort of rhetorical question to ponder. And we have gone so far. Our culture, especially in America, has lost a total sense of self-control. A total. I mean, even I myself find myself lacking self-control in certain aspects of my life. And that's really the root of sin. When you have no self-control, you're just going to keep on going farther and farther. And we have so many perversions in our world that, I couldn't even, it would take me days to name them all. And they would be very inappropriate for some people watching this, and it's just, I can't imagine that they were doing that then, but they probably were. But sometimes I'll hear of perversions of different things, and I'll think to myself, that would have never even crossed my mind. Let alone I never would have done it, even if it did cross my mind. So we've come so far. We keep overstepping our bounds. We go outside the fence a little bit, and then we see it's not so bad, and then we just keep on wandering farther and farther away from our home base, the home base being God. And God sets a fence around the home base and says, don't go out of the base, don't go out of the fence limits. And we go a little farther out, a little farther out, a little farther out, and eventually we are so far from what God ever wanted us to be that it's sad. And that's why God didn't enjoy his creation, and he regretted making it, because we had strayed so far from his laws and his purposes of our life. And our purpose of our life is to glorify God. And We strayed so far from that he actually regretted making us. So it's very sad. And I would encourage you to have self-control, because if you have self-control, you'll find it much easier to abstain from sin. I am a pretty skinny guy, but I eat a lot of food, and I've been growing these past like 6 months just astronomically. I'm sure you guys have all had that time in your life where just like everyone you see says, "Wow, did you get a little bit taller?" Or "Wow, look how tall you are." So I've been going through that, and so I decided with myself not to fast until I was done with growing, until I'm 20 or whatever. And that fast meaning, 48-hour fast or 24-hour fast or whatever. But I do fast from certain things. Like some days I won't use the computer, or for a week I won't have any dessert, or for like a year and a half I didn't have any soda. You can fast from different things. It doesn't have to be an all-out fast, but you need to not be mastered by anything. Paul says in his letter to the Corinthians, I believe, that, I will not be mastered by anything. And he also says in one of his letters to emulate Paul, because Paul was trying to emulate Jesus, so we need to emulate Paul. And Paul writes many encouraging words, but among them, he tells us to emulate him, and he also says he will not be mastered by anything. So if we want to emulate him, we also must not be mastered by anything. And so you shouldn't be mastered by video games, you shouldn't be mastered by sports, you shouldn't be mastered by food, alcohol, drugs, anything. So that's something to consider. And by fasting, you will gain self-control. You have to have self-control, and you have to ask the Lord to help you, to give you that self-control, because we are very, very weak on our own. We only get our power from God. So you really need to ask him to help you with that, if that's something you struggle with. I know I struggle with it in different aspects of my life, and I'm sure that you do too, because I think everyone struggles with at least one or two things in their life where they probably overuse it, or can't control themselves over it. But so I just encourage you to do that, because self-control, if we have self-control, like I said already, it'll be much easier to abstain from sin. When we abstain from sin, that honors God. So if we honor God, he will be happy with his creation, and he won't regret making us. So that's kind of the simple ladder you have there. And like I said, if God created or hated his creation then, what must he think it now, when it can't be any better? I can't say for sure that it's worse, but I know that it can't be any better. So I just hope that you guys will think about that, and I thank you all for watching.